This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
He was a giant, and he was a cowboy. Now these two former rivals have joined forces to bring you the most insightful, perceptive, and controversial sports talk podcast in America. Former Dallas Cowboys defensive end Jim Jeffcoat locks horns with former New York Giants wide receiver Byron Williams. And now, here's Byron Williams and Jim Jeffcoat.
You know what? Good evening, really, Byron. How are you doing today?
Good evening. What's going on, Jim? How you been?
Not too much. Are you in? Well, you are obviously in Arlington today.
I'm in Arlington.
I'm thinking about picking you up on Saturday at 4:00, and we go watch the Cowboys play against Jacksonville. I got an extra ticket.
Okay. I do have a back to school. I should be done. I don't know, around. I think it's 3 to 4. I might just put my ticket at the one that I come on over there.
I'll send it to you.
First quarter, something like that.
I'll send it to you.
They playing Jackson. Preseason game just don't excite me because they
don't excite me either. But I'm kind of all this stuff that you and the producer are talking about the Cowboys. I want to see the division championships up close and personal.
Well, so far I'm not impressed. So I mean, I can go and come and watch, but
we got probably it's your opinion, but we probably got one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
What made you say that?
Well, his record against the NFC East is pretty darn good.
But he threw 15 interceptions last year.
He came back from a hand injury, and some of what the problem was is his receiving core. Good evening, Rick. How are you, my man?
Hey, Rick.
Good evening.
Speaking of the quarterback, okay.
Well, this is good. Zach Martin. Here's the situation. I agree with what Zach Martin's saying, Rick. He is probably the best guard in the NFL. The problem is he's 33 years old. So say if you give him a new 4-year deal, that means you're tied to him for 30 till he's 7. And he's worth that. But before the show, we were talking about that. And one of the very intelligent producers said he should, he sees both sides of it, and I do too. From the Cowboys side, you're going to put that much money into a guy that's going to be 37 by the end of his contract. And you got to pay Micah Parsons, obviously. You still haven't paid CeeDee Lamb. And every money that you give to other players are you taking away from them. Is it right? No. But the reality of it is you got some young stars, and you're going to have another one. There's a possibility that you can get a couple more that are going to be pretty darn good.
So did Zach Martin take a pay cut a year ago? Did he redo his contract?
He redid it, but it was put in a bonus.
Okay.
He did. He got money. He got the same money, but he got it in a bonus. But I could see his argument.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was rated the
number. How many times he been made the Pro Bowl? 7 times?
I think he's made it every year he's been in the NFL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's one of the elite offensive linemen that probably ever played.
Nobody's arguing that is talent. It's a hard deal because how do you keep him satisfied?
What is he asking for? You know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. So there's the thing. But back to the Cowboys. I mean, they're having a good camp, and Dad is having a good camp. Everybody's saying, well, Trayvon Diggs is yelling.
Yeah. They don't go about camp like they used to. So I wouldn't say they're having a good camp. They're just having camp. When you have a good camp, that means you nutting and you tightening up the boats. You having a good camp when you tighten up the boats.
Well, before the show, you and the producer, who is a avid Giants fan, were talking about how good the camp was for the Giants and how they did against Detroit. they were terrible yesterday, they were good today. That's the way camp is. You could be good one day and bet it's just a reality, getting your timing, getting your acclimation to it and stuff like that. You only have 10 padded practices.
But that right there kind of tell me that you are ready for the second half. Like you have a bad first half, then the second half, then you have a chance to win the game. So I'm thinking the Giants are repping up, is getting good and ready for the season to get kicked out. That's what I'm thinking.
The kid kicked out.
No, to get the season kicked out. Because this is what I'm saying, Jim. You know as well as I do. I don't think the Cowboys are really, when you go against each other, it just become routine. It's just going through the motion. You got to go and you got to practice against some other team. I like what the Giants are doing. I like what the Giants are doing, and I think they're gonna be really prepared for the opening day.
See, I disagree with you because we used to practice against the Raiders and we used to get after them, and halfway through practice, Al Davis would call it off. So we would just go practice by ourselves anyway. I mean, that's just the way it was. I mean, I don't know how much that brings to you because
I think it helped us because we went just like the Giants got the Detroit Lions this week. You know, we went down there and started practicing against the Atlanta Falcons, and then we played them in the preseason game. I just think you just be better prepared because you're going against not your teammates, but you're going to get some other players.
Yeah, but like say there, if that is true, I was watching the film or the practices against Detroit, and Thibodeau struggled against them. So did Hutchins struggle against the Giants, and we know both of them are good players. And then the last part, Daniel Jones had a very good practice. It also, you know, they got a couple of strips.
He threw 5 touchdowns, I think, today.
Yeah. But shoot, it's different. I'm just telling you. Now, what's going to happen? Detroit's going to get after them next week. And Detroit's going to get after their players. And then what's going to happen tomorrow? Either they're going to fight or they're going to play hard. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, some players got to play hard in order to try to make the team.
Yeah, to make the team.
Yeah.
And it's different, really, where the biggest emphasis is in the past. It's been you made a couple of teams making special teams as a roster spot.
Right.
Well, they're taking the emphasis away from special teams with these new rules. So now you can keep a position player.
You still gonna have about 10 to 15 players that really got to try to make the team.
But how did they make the team?
Huh? It's special teams.
No, did you look
special teams and what you do on your at your position?
Yeah, but did you look at some of the new rules? They're different on kickoffs. Punts are not different, but I mean, how do you make the team?
Well, that's so true. With the new rule, it's making it real easy. I guess they're trying to cut down injuries.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. So I understand what you're saying, but it makes it more difficult for those guys that are on the bounce from the last 10 players because now they all have to play a position.
Yeah.
But
that's so true. And another thing too, you know, you got coaches moving around and you got players, you know, still a lot of unrestricted free agents players out there to be signed.
True. And just like what happened today in the Cardinals, Marlon Mack, who is a veteran, a 5-year veteran, was drafted by Indianapolis Colts. He tore his ACL today. They have to bring a guy, and it's really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, but that happens. He's out for the season.
Yeah.
But the story I wanted, Kareem Hunt is going around. He went to New Orleans. He just went to the Colts. He has no deal. Same with Anthony Barr. He's there. Davian Clowney is in Baltimore, and they didn't give him a deal yet. And they signed another defensive end. But the NFL.
He's been a true journeyman. He's been to a lot of teams.
Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. He was one guy that everybody thought was going to be a lock Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
That one hit in college at South Carolina, went to the University of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like you said, he's been a journeyman. He never lived up to the expectations.
Right. Yeah.
So that's
some players you just you kind of just miss their fortune. But you know, with the talent and skill set that he had, you know, expectation was so big, and you know they was comparing him to being one of such a great impact player, but it seemed like it never did happen for him.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of reasons for it.
Right.
But college football and pro football is a different animal.
It's two different things. I mean, you could be you see it all the time. Great college football players.
Yeah.
You know, and they just can't make that next level.
Well, you see a lot, interestingly, in the running back position.
Yep.
How many running backs have you known that were great college players and they struggled in the NFL, and then some exceeded expectations? Now, there's been some great ones over the years, but there's also been big-time guys that you thought, oh, man, how are they going to stop him? And they didn't really excel. So.
Right. Yeah, and then, you know, it's always one or two guys that, you know, just don't make it reach their potential on the next level. It just happens every year that, you know, some guys get drafted real high and just can't make that adjustment to play in the National Football League.
Yeah. Here was an interesting one. The head coach of the Washington, if you call them Commanders or Native Americans or whatever, I'm not going to say Redskins, but
the Commanders, the Commodores.
The Commodores. The Ron Rivera said that players have come to him already and complained about
Airbnb.
Yeah, his coaching style.
Well, that's because every enemy knows what football and hard work is all about. He come from a winning team. He just an old school guy, and he knows what it takes to consistently win year in and year out. He's been over there with Andy Reid. So why question it? That just goes to show you that Ron Rivera might not be the type of coach that need to be there if he gonna let players come up to him to talk about a coach.
Well, here's my problem with the whole situation. First of all, that's an in-house thing, and he should have kept it in-house. He should have said, hey, he's the offensive coordinator. He does it his way. He should have backed him. That's just my opinion. Then the next thing, he should have went up to Eric. Hey, Eric, don't change your style, but think about what you're doing, because someday you have the possibility of head coach, and you're not just offense or defense. You're the whole team, and explain to him some things. And I know I've heard stories about Bieniemy back when I was at the University of Colorado, so I know some of the.
So the things that you heard about him, is it something? You know, some people said that he don't know how to interview because he'd been interviewed almost every year for a head coaching job. So what is it that he need to do, or what is it that he need to change?
Well, there's certain things he has to change with how he communicates to players. I don't mean you can be a hard coach, and you can hard coach, but one thing I've learned about great coaches is they can hard coach you because you know they care and they're telling you the truth. If that makes sense.
It makes absolutely sense, because that reminds me of Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. They had to become those type of coaches. And I think that's what really helped Bill Belichick, because he was able to see how Parcells was able to have a personal relationship with certain guys, deal with some on the off the field issue with certain players. And I think, you know, and then now you got to get these guys to play their best in every situation. And I think that's what makes a great coach.
And I agree with you. But here's the thing. If you respect the coach and know he has your best interest in, you're going to run through a wall for him.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless. You know, I've had players really good players that are playing in the NFL and that previously played in the NFL, they would do it. They still call me, and we still talk. And I was hard on them.
Yeah. Because they know that what you told them was true and everything, and then they play hard.
Yeah. But that's what the enemy got to say. Hey, you don't have to cut on. I'm going to coach you hard. This is me. This is what I'm about. This is how I coach. If you can't
now I think too, another thing that the problem happened, if a running back don't go to the head coach and talk to him about the offensive coordinator, the enemy, then I ain't gonna too much want to. I'm looking for a player to come in and replace him because he ain't the type of player I want to coach.
Yeah, but and that's very true. That's very true. If they don't get off to a good start, who are they gonna point the finger at?
The offensive coordinator.
That's right.
And the head coach.
Exactly. They're gonna start. Your locker room becomes
chaos.
And you can't have that in a locker room because there are on every team. There's some locker room lawyers, and they're gonna get louder and louder. And that's
what. And really, the Washington Commando is not really a bad team.
I can tell you that.
They got some players, and it's just the quarterback position and maybe position here and there.
Position's all right. I don't think that's the problem. I think that Sam Howell. Sam Howell, excuse me.
Well, if they come and play 80% of what the Kansas City offense can play, I'm telling you, they gonna be explosive.
Yeah.
Because they got a good defense.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Fortunately, we play them late in the year, so we'll kind of get a good.
That might be devastating for y'all. What you laughing about? I'm just telling you the truth. I'd rather play Washington at the beginning of the year.
I wouldn't.
Versus the later of the year.
Because you get a better idea on how they're going to attack you. We play them on Thanksgiving too.
Man, them Commandos gonna be eating some doggone some Cowboys turkey and dressing.
They're not gonna have turducken.
That turducken gonna be off the chain.
Oh my goodness! And the week before, I think 2 weeks. Yeah. Hey.
He said there's
my guy in Atlanta. He said, I hope you're not down doing the Denver, Jason.
Jason, let me tell you something about the Atlanta Falcon fan. They always excited every year. But them Falcons,
kind of like the Vikings fan. Sorry, Rick and Jason.
I'm just saying though. You know, he down in Atlanta, so
yeah. But I was up in Winnipeg, and they had a big ceremony for Bud Grant. Bud Grant was at the time the Canadian Football League. He was the head coach for the
Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
He won 4 Grey Cups up there.
Yeah, he was a great coach up there.
Yeah.
Bud Grant was a legend. He's a legend.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Very great coach.
Yeah. But
we need some more of those. Hey, you know what? This is what you need to do, Jim. You need to come out with a coach's book on how to coach. So some of these young coaches can really get it. Right. You can have pictures of Bud Grant, Bill Parcells, Jimmy Johnson, all those guys. And then do the Jeffcoat. Yeah. And then do the Jeffcoat commentary. This is what you need to do. Blah, blah, blah.
Yes. And there's different ways to skin a cat because Steve Spurrier is totally different from Jim Johnson, but they get the same goals. That's right. That's right, Rick. They are aware of the past. But they had a Bud passed a couple of months ago, and they were having a ceremony with his family. I think he's from Minnesota too, Bud Grant. So it was really nice, Rick. My son plays in Winnipeg, but it was really nice. But Parcells, what made him a great coach is his organizational skills. He was really exceptional in organization and organizing a team. And he understood how the flow of a game went. You have to give him that. Spurrier was just a genius. Spurrier could look at a field and look at the defense and tell you how he was going to attack it. So he was hard. He didn't wear headphones or anything. He just looked out there. I'll never forget.
He had great intuitions.
Tom Landry was another one that was very disciplined, structured, and knew how to do it. What happened with Tom is the game, just as we always talk, the game changed.
Yeah.
When the Washington Redskins, at that time, they were the Redskins, they started going to the bigger players.
You see what I'm doing right here, Jim? See what I'm doing? What I'm doing?
Breathing.
Tom Landry invented that.
Yeah.
When offensive linemen, they would come up and come down. Guess what happened? The defense like, wow, what is this? Yeah, so Tom Landry put a little.
Yeah, believe it or not, you know what else he invented?
What?
The shotgun.
Yeah.
He started the shotgun. The guy was brilliant. That flex defense, you had to master. You had to work hard to master it.
You sure did. You just can't come and play that flex defense.
You like Tom Landry because he was a giant. You like Vince Lombardi.
No, I like Tom Landry. I like Tom Landry because me and him was on the plane together, and he gave me my first NFL football. He said, Gil Brandt, I want you to give Byron Williams his football after we came back from the combine. And
you were a Cowboy fan since then?
No, I just like certain guys. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I just like certain guys.
Yeah, you're a Cowboy fan.
I just, by me living here, I just know a lot. I know a lot of guys. I talked to Charles Haley yesterday. So I'm always talking to somebody from the damn Cowgirls.
Yeah, well, you can't help it. You can't help it. You can't help it.
Because all y'all always calling me about something. That's why.
Yeah. And we like you.
Good.
I told you a good guy. I had lunch with Charles last week.
You did?
Yeah, I had lunch with him.
He is something else.
He is a piece of work now. He is a piece of work.
I know.
But
he got to take his medication, though. That's what he needs to do.
Yes, he does.
Once he take his medication, he's all right.
Yeah. So here's a couple of things that are happening in the NFL. There's a lot of news. Rodgers they're practicing against Carolina Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they didn't have good drills, and he got on the offense. He was frustrated because you do make a point. At some point, you practice against your own team and think, wow, we're really good. But when you go against another team, but that really is what preseason games are for, or they should be for. That's what they're doing in Denver. People
tuning up. I call it tune-up games.
Yeah. But they're saying Russell Wilson's going to play a half for Denver. And they said, that's crazy. How can you play Russell Wilson a half? Or I don't know if it's a half.
Because he played half-ass last year during the football season. Simple as that. Hey, simple as that. Teammates were mad at him, so he needed to play at half. He needed to play half every game this year. Just getting back the timing.
And people, regardless if you're a vet or a young player, you always have to get used to the speed of the game because it's different in a game, obviously, as we both know, than it is in practice. And my theory on it is you can get hurt in practice. You see all these injuries in practice. So why are you worried about games? Why are you so worried about we got to get my players ready? I mean, the first year Jimmy was here, well, the first year I started,
You can't tell him nothing, Matt. You can't tell him nothing.
This is our show. This is Jim and Byron. So leave me alone. I said they should be playing. Did you hear it? I said they should be playing.
Well, the reason why they should be playing because they do a lot of helmets and shorts.
Yes,
and so it really don't give you the feel of what you need to prepare for, I think.
I agree. but nobody wants to play them anymore. They're so afraid of their players getting hurt. They're so, but football, believe it or not, at one time was a violent game.
Absolutely.
Did you know that? It was violent game.
Your body is hard. Your body is hard. You prepare yourself. You know it. You know you're gonna get your throat. You're gonna get checked here and there. You're gonna get hauled. You're gonna be pinched. You're gonna be kicked.
Oh yeah, and now we're trying to make it, patty cake.
Yeah.
It's just like I forgot who said it. They said, the head coach at Winnipeg is he's really a good head coach. He's really successful. He played in Canadian football. He's in the Hall of Fame up there. And he said, you know what? He said, he told his players that in 20 years, we won't even recognize it because they won't let us do it. I mean, they called a play where the defensive lineman grabbed the quarterback from the back. He didn't horse collar him. He just grabbed him from the back, and they called it roughing the quarterback. And he sacked him. And I saw that with Chris Jones. Chris Jones last year hit the quarterback, caused the fumble, recovered the fumble, and they called it intentional roughing the quarterback. I mean, we're taking the physicality out of a game that by nature is physical. And that's just my – and I understand from a receiver standpoint, when you put your helmet on and hit a receiver, in the back or neck, I can understand that.
Defenseless receiver,
yeah. But you also got to keep the physical nature in the game.
But they changed that quarterback rule with Tom Brady, so that's what they did.
They did.
So, and now you do have to protect the quarterbacks. They're your biggest commodity.
Yeah, but if you're a sack is a sack. That's all I'm saying. You can't have a rule where you sack a quarterback and it's intentional. It's rough, and I keep saying intentional, but say it's roughing the quarterback. It's a sack.
Absolutely.
And as long as it's not, what do? You go to them. You might as well say, hey, all you can do is tag the quarterback. Play like flag football, which you start in your own flag football league, so you probably agree with that.
Well, I agree flag football for girls. So that's all.
Easy now. We're gonna get a lot of fan mail.
Let's get some fan mail later. Let's go. So hey, but for real though, football is meant to be played rough and tough, and it's a physical game.
Yeah. But you're right. I agree. Got a question for you. And this is a little bit off subject. You know how I can get off subject.
Yeah, you got it.
There is a Netflix show on about Johnny Manziel. I have not watched it, but my partners in my company are telling me about it.
Uh-huh.
And they said that Manziel said that he almost committed suicide because of the problems he was having when he was at the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
And then they said that also that he never looked at play. He never looked at his iPad. He never studied. He never read his playbook or anything.
Well, that might be why he wasn't successful, because part of being successful in football and a team-oriented sport is that you got to do your part. You got to be committed to do your part. And if you're not around the right people and you isolate yourself, well, you're gonna have those kind of suicidal thoughts. You're not gonna be in the space that you need to be in. So I can see where he was thinking suicide. I can see why he had great talents, great skill set, but we all got to be surround ourselves with people that gonna make us even better. I think you hurt yourself when you're in a negative environment, or you on drugs or drinking alcohol, or you get in the depressed mode. And so all of that stuff carry over. It's a carryover thing.
Yeah. And then he also said, this was interesting, when everybody thought his family had money and he was a trust fund baby. Well, they started that rumor because he was going and he was making like $30,000 a signing appearance in Vegas, and his buddy said, "Hey, just tell him that you got oil and gas money," and that wasn't it. They were setting it up. I mean, they did a lot of things, and like you said, he wasn't being held accountable, and it's just not by the coach. The coach, and I know the coach because I worked for the coach. I knew he wasn't going to help, but his family didn't hold him accountable. They let him basically run wild.
Yeah, and then another thing too, when he was at Texas A&M, you know, his they started selling his jersey, and he started making instant money. So
exactly, and that's what I'm talking about. And then he didn't go to school either. He never went to class. What kind of junk is that?
Man, I'm telling you. So sometimes things can be so good that it's not really real, and it really hurts you in the long run. And that's what happened to him. I mean, it's just one thing after another, and he had to, you know, he had open season for everything. He was popular. He was, you know, famous. They, you know, everybody said he was a superstar, and so that just went to his head, and he wasn't ready for it.
And it's kind of interesting how different players are. Whether you like him or not, Michael Parsons is looking at it the right thing. He's trying to be the best player that he possibly could be. Sauce Gardner, he's trying to be the best player that he can be. And that's why they're going to be successful.
Well, I think a lot of it too is, I call it a foundation. I call it, you got to have some type of foundation, meaning that if you have a good foundation, you're going to always revert back to that foundation. If you're just a fly-by-night type person, then you're setting you up for success. Because let me tell you something, there's so many wolves out there. There's so many people out there that want to take advantage of you and stuff.
Yes.
And if you don't know the difference between what's right and what's wrong, you know you're doomed.
Well, it's just like they're going to be around as long as there is money. And let's be honest, especially in the NFL, money and women. They're going to be around. But as soon as the money goes and the women go, they're going to be gone. They're going to go to the next guy. Let's be honest.
I never forget this. I was in college, and me and my college roommate, he got drafted by New England Patriots. We got our grant check, and we went to the car wash. And so this guy came up to us in this fancy car, and he started pulling out this gold. Man, y'all need to buy this gold. Blah, blah, blah. So we spent half our doggone grant money and bought gold because we said we can take it. Yeah, we can take it to our mom and our girlfriend, and we go to East Texas. He going to Danielfield. I'm going to Texarkana. Well, what all look good ain't good. No. So we learned a valuable lesson. And I always say some people are gold plated and some people are just real gold.
How long did it take before it turned green?
Oh man, it hit the water and it turned green the next day, man. So we were like, we can't tell nobody this, man. We be laughing stock. But anyway, I had to say that because it reminded me of what you're talking about. It's so many gold-plated people out there, and if you don't really get to the nucleus of the gold, you know, it'll turn green on you. So man, I always think about that lesson when I meet people. I say I tried, and you never know how long it's gonna take to really get to know somebody. Yes, but there's so many gold-plated people out there now that you just got to be really alert.
You're right. Because here's the thing, in my situation, I remember when I told my mom and dad, that I was going to Arizona State. And my dad pulled me to the side and said, you know, this is like being in the service. Your dad was military too.
Right.
Said, once you get in this, you ain't coming back. He said, you're not coming back. So about what Arizona State did at that time to make money, they brought you out for summer school. They could pay you.
Right.
To do it. And I go out there and it's hot as heck. I didn't think about it. It was 80 degrees in the winter. Right. So in my mind, I didn't think it was going to be, you know, 115, 120 in the summer. And it was hot as first time away from home. So I dialed up my parents and told them I want to come home. So I said, I don't like it out here. Click. Hello. 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 They hung up on me.
That's good. Hey, he won't lie to you. He said you make your decision on what you gonna do.
That's right.
It ain't no return ticket. It's a one-way ticket.
That's right. It was a one-way ticket. It was a one-way ticket.
Hey, my dad told me, when you leave, you gone. You're a man. You're on your own. So I wasn't thinking about coming back. Huh?
I came home for Christmas break and my room was changed.
You ain't got no room. Hey, you ain't got no room.
You just a visitor here. I said, okay, I remember that. But I also learned what you said is that when I got to college, I learned that the better you played, the more opportunities you had and the more things you got. So I got good real quick. I figured that out quick because I saw why they got all these things and I'm not getting them. I better get good quick.
You got good quick. The first thing I did was I said, I got to get in that 300 bench press. They wearing these shirts. I said, I'm going to give me one of them shirts. So I bench press 300. Hey, I bench press 300. Then another thing I did was I played as a fraternity. My freshman year, I played. Man, if that didn't make me a man, that made me a man. So I learned real quick. There's certain things that you do to equip yourself to prepare, and because you're going to get tested. No doubt. You're going to get tested.
And that's the thing I think that a lot of players in this generation missed. They really don't get tested. Mm-hmm. They can't take the hard coaching, just like earlier in the show we were talking about the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
Because that's a part of life. There's going to be some difficulties in life.
And I'll tell you another thing too, Jim. You got to be able to communicate.
Yes.
You know, these young players now, they all they do is got their head down on the iPad, on the phone. Yeah. And you know, I went to the Rangers game this weekend. It was a young man in the suite. I was one that started talking to him, and I was really surprised. This young guy was talking, you know, telling me what he wanted to do. He played baseball, he played basketball, and he was in the 7th grade. So I was like impressed with him because his parents had taught him how to interview and how to talk to young people.
How to communicate with an adult.
I said that now this little kid I was impressed with him. So a lot of times you see that you go and you talk to kids, you say, what you want to do? I don't know. You know,
that's true. That is true. That is true. And that's the thing, because such a small percentage make it to the NFL. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to be doing something else in your life. So you're going to have that is right now, you used to have where Zoom or WeWork and these things, well, they're going out because COVID is not gone, but it's not emphasized as much.
Right.
You have to do in-person interviews, in-person meetings, and it's a lot different. And that's the thing. And a lot of times you think about this. We don't really think about it because we're older. But even in the meeting atmosphere, a lot of kids don't go to school. They do it online.
Absolutely.
That sitting in a room, we had study halls, we had big meetings, or not meetings, but classes. And so those things, they don't do that. So some of them, it might be unusual for them to have to sit in a room for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because they've never been able to do. That's not what they do. They look at everything on their iPads. They do all their work online. And
that's a real good point. I think you got to be, I think you got to be up on what is it that you need to do best. In other words, whether you go do an interview online, on Zoom or whatever, go ahead and know the company that you're going to be talking to. Still prepare. One of the things I learned from Bill Parcells is, when I first met him, he knew my mom and my dad's name. He knew all about me. And so I was impressed with that. I think too, you want to be impressive when you're talking to somebody in an interview. You got to be, you do your homework. At the end of the day, it's still a lot of old things that you can carry over to the new day.
No question. Couple more things. I owe you an apology.
Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins is having a tremendous camp at the Titans. And he's helping the young receiver. Is it Traylon Burks from Arkansas?
When you get close to 30 years old, now I've been studying DeAndre. I've been studying some of these receivers. I think he, last year he learned his lesson when he had to sit out the first 6 games of the season. And I think he came back, and then all of a sudden the bottom fell out of the Arizona Cardinals offense. And so I'm thinking he's saying that, he's looking at it now for, I don't get a whole lot more opportunities. And by him being released and then getting signed now, I think he understands that this game is almost about to end for me.
Yeah. And that's my point, because after you reach a certain age, and different for different positions,
right?
You're on the downside, as opposed to the upside. But he's doing it the right way. He's helping young players. He's teaching them how to play the game. I think that's what A.J. Brown did in Philly.
Yeah, absolutely. A.J. Brown's he looking at the opportunity. But another thing A.J. Brown see too, that there's an opportunity to go back to the Super Bowl. And how many too many players can say they've been to a Super Bowl or 1 Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important about the timing. And
that's very true.
Yeah,
that's very true. They said that New England is doing some good things. The Patriots, they said that they're playing, they're practicing well and doing some good things at Patriots. They said that Matt Jones,
one thing, Jim, that a lot of people miss out on. I always look at the coaches, and at the end of the day, Bill Belichick is still there. So you just can't overlook and say the Patriots gonna come in last place.
But here's the thing everybody's talking about, and we did this last year. I said on the show, or our show on Sunday, or other show, is that we all thought the AFC West was going to be unbelievable. They were going to be the toughest division in the NFL.
Right.
But it didn't turn out that way. They had, obviously the Kansas City Chiefs who won the Super Bowl, but the other teams struggled. I think what happens is you got to look at what's happening in the AFC East. They got to play the NFC East, and there is not any bad teams. You can say what you want. There's not any bad teams on the NFC East.
All those teams are good. That's 8 good teams right there.
Yeah, but I think that if you look at last year, Miami was in. Who else went to the playoffs? Buffalo, correct?
Yep.
And I think what happens is I would take
New England almost went to the playoffs.
Yeah, they did. And I agree. But I think the NFC East is a better division, because I don't think they're going to take a step back as much as people think.
I think the NFC East is solid. It's a solid.
And they've gotten better. Look at the teams. Yeah. Washington will be better. The Giants will be better. Philly is going to be, they might take a step back, but they're pretty talented. They might be the most talented team in professional football. That doesn't mean you're going to win a championship, because I look back, and the last team to win back-to-back champions was Philly, and that was back in 2008 and 2009.
Yeah. And the division, fourth division champion.
And that's my point. But I think you got to be careful in Washington, like you said. I hate to say it, but they got some talent. They have
and if Bieniemy can get those guys on the same page with him, they're gonna be running their horse out.
But that's gonna be the hard part.
Yeah.
Because if you hear guys complaining now, then like you said, you got to get those guys out of there, because they're gonna poison that locker room.
Absolutely. And that's what happened. That's what happened last year in Denver. I mean, you can't be having disparity and complaints on your team.
And you can't have the quarterback separated, have his own on his different level, has his own office. What kind of junk is that?
That's not team football, for one. No. You know that. That's not team football. No. And that's a prime example of what happened to Denver last year.
Yeah, that's true.
And and Hackett, he shouldn't have let that happen. I wouldn't let that happen.
No.
I don't care how much Russell Wilson making.
Yeah, but that's a lot of times, Byron. That's being a young coach and not understand that you can't. At some point, you have to be the hammer, and that by that I mean, as a coach, you have to make decisions. You have to say, "Hey, Jimmy Johnson, me and him got along really well. One day, I was rushing the quarterback, and I beat the guy, so I stopped." And he ripped me. He said, "Finish the play." He said, "I don't ever want to see you stop. Run past the quarterback. Don't hit him, but run past him." But he was right. And he was there. And I was one of his favorite guys. And that's the thing. You got to have expectations, and you can't let just your friendships really.
Just think about that, Jim. Just think about what you just said. He told you that, and other players heard that. And that just goes to show you it's for Jim and it's for everybody else. If I can tell Jim this, yeah. So I mean that's how the team rally around the mindset of doing it full speed, of practicing the way you want to be practiced, or even having a mindset. You got winning is a mindset.
Exactly. Winning, just like losing is, because you ever notice teams that struggle, they always worried about how are they going to mess this up.
Yeah.
The teams that lose, I remember we were 1-15. All your mind is in the back of your mind is, how are we going to screw this up?
Yeah.
Even that one game. How are we going to mess it next year? We started to get a little bit more confidence, and we got better. We didn't think about losing. We thought about winning, and there's a difference.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you got to realize. And there's going to be teams, I think, like I said, my dark horse teams are Cleveland. I think Cleveland can win. And I also like Atlanta. I think that I like their head coach, Arthur Smith.
Well, I'm usually 1 year off, so I'm gonna stick with the Chargers. I was on the bandwagon last year. I'm just gonna stay with them this year.
They got a lot of offensive talent.
Yeah,
the Chargers. If you ever notice, the Chargers always get a lot of injuries.
They always get a lot of injuries, and then this year they done paid the quarterback. So I'm thinking that they can get that tapped out the way. They got a great running back, Isler. I mean, this boy can run. Yeah. And I just think that I just think they gonna be surprised. They're gonna be the surprise team over there.
And my other dark horse is the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins all the way. I was just getting Jason and Rick pumped for that one.
You joking? You throwing out some jokes tonight.
I thought they liked that.
So we do have some preseason games coming up, huh?
Yes, tomorrow too. 2 preseason games tomorrow.
2 preseason games: the Texans and the Patriots.
Yep.
And the Vikings and the Seahawks.
Yeah, that'll be some good games. Even if it's not, the starters won't play or they won't play long. Those will be too good because you want to see what the Texans look like with their new head coach, DeMarco Ryan.
Yeah, DeMarco. Yeah.
And then you also want to see how Minnesota, they lost some guys, but they still got Justin Jefferson, but he probably won't play that much.
Did they lose their defense coordinator?
Yeah, they got oh man, you missed us on that one. We already I'll talk to you about it. Zach Martin is one of the premier players, but he's 33 years old, and that's unfortunate. If you pay him, if you give him a new deal, then that means you're tied to him for 37 till he's 37. He should be paid like he's worked, but when he signed the contract, unfortunately, it was one of the highest contracts for an offensive lineman. Now that contract is outdated. And you say, well, he took money to help the Cowboys, but they gave him that money cash in the bonus. So, oh, man, Rick. Minnesota is my dark horse, Rick. They're going to win the NFC North. Everybody's talking about Detroit. Minnesota's sitting there creeping because they got Kirk Cousins. I'm just saying that to help you out, Rick.
Well, we're gonna see.
I know I think Minnesota's gonna be better than people give them credit for.
I think Dan Campbell gonna have them Detroit ready to go. So.
I think he will, but I think Minnesota has more weapons right now. That's just, and they have the old tight end from, if you remember, from Detroit.
Yeah.
And they got
they got it. Yeah, 8. Yeah.
And they got Brian Flores as their defensive coordinator. Minnesota could be pretty good.
Well, we'll see what Flores can do. We'll see if he can get that defense because they got offense.
Yeah, and then they signed the pass rusher. They signed him to a new contract. So
yeah, that's true.
So and then they got the kid from Jordan Addison from USC. So he's pretty good. And then your guy, you talked about San Diego, Quentin Johnson over there, a very good camp out there.
Yeah.
And also Jalen Tolbert for the Cowboys. He's a second. There's a big difference between your first and second year. Some guys can come in and automatically it clicks. But the majority of players, it takes them a year.
It'll take a year. Yeah, absolutely.
You can hit me up on Facebook. You can hit me on there, but I think it's about this time, isn't it? It's this time.
Is it?
Yeah. And Byron, yeah. Byron will find me if I miss this show for another show. And I don't want to get fined because,
Yeah, I don't play.
He don't play. But yeah, so oh man.
So there's gonna be some good games this week.
Yeah, it's Green Bay against Cincinnati. Obviously, Burrows is hurt. New York against Detroit. They've been scrimmaging against each other.
Right.
Atlanta versus Miami. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. I want to see that game, Atlanta and the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm gonna look and see if I can find it. Well, they'll all be on the NFL Network.
Yeah. The Steelers play the Bucks, and I think
the Bucks got problems, don't you?
They're gonna have problems. They're gonna be in the gutter. I think.
Washington at Cleveland. And Denver at Arizona. Yeah. And that's Friday. And then Saturday. Go ahead.
Then for another game, the Denver Broncos against the Cardinals.
Yeah. So it's a lot of interesting. Then you got Saturday. You got Indianapolis against Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. They're in Buffalo.
I think Indianapolis is a train wreck. What do you think?
I think Jim Irsay needs to sit down and shut up. I mean, he just hurt the team.
Yeah. Tennessee against Chicago. That'll be an interesting one. Because
that'll be good. Yeah.
Tennessee has been successful the last couple of years, but can they keep it going? Does he have any more left in his tank? Does DeAndre Hopkins, which they said he's having a great camp, is he have enough left to help him in the passing game?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. The New York Jets against Carolina. Interesting one.
Yeah, the Carolina Panthers.
They've been
Carolina Panthers had the first pick of the draft. We'll see what happens over there.
Yeah, Bryce Young. See, that's the one thing I would do. If I was having a young quarterback, he's going to play a lot in the preseason.
Oh, yeah. Because he 2021 didn't play.
Yeah. And then Jacksonville against Dallas. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Philadelphia at Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah. And then Los Angeles at Los Angeles. They don't have to go anywhere.
they just got to switch locker rooms out.
That's right. And that's the kind of team nobody's talking about, the Rams.
Yeah, they're on a silent mode. Exactly. What's going on with the Rams?
That's kind of scary because they were pretty good 2 years ago.
But they still got one of the best defensive linemen in the world.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Kansas City at New Orleans.
Yeah, New Orleans. They'll be at home.
Yeah.
But Kansas City, they don't worry about preseason games. They just fine tune, and they just ready to go when the season opens.
And then you got San Francisco at Las Vegas.
Yeah.
How do you not get Josh Jacobs signed?
I don't understand that. I mean, you have to get. He was their main offense.
Yeah, and Devontae Adams is complaining about that. He was their main offense.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if Josh McDaniel know what he's doing, or if he got anything to say so about it. But you got to pay these running backs. I still say the running backs are pretty valuable. I see the value in the running backs.
I do too. But they're also having a big thing for the old players there.
They have a reunion. Yeah. They bring back a lot of their players. That's one thing that
they do. They do a good job. Mark Davis does a nice job of that. So and that's this week.
That's this week too. Yeah, they usually do it. The first week. I know the Giants usually do theirs first week of September, and it'd be in the month of September. So they ain't send me no invitation. I'm gonna have to see if I can get on the list.
The heck?
I know, man. I got to do better. I got so many things going on though, Jim. I got some things going on, man.
I know you're a busy man.
Yeah.
So they said that Daniel Jones threw 5 touchdowns.
What you mean they say he did? Ain't no day.
But it is but they also showed a lot of that running back from Alabama, Jameer, beating the Giants secondary and their linebacker.
Oh, the running back that they drafted first in the first round? Yeah. He's great talent.
Yeah. So they did show that. But they also showed that left tackle that's getting on. They just redid his contract. He was only a second-year player, the left tackle, and he was killing Hutchinson. Shoot. He didn't know what he was in for.
But that's good. So let me ask you a question. Do you want to see some things that you want to work on in preseason, or do you want to win? Or you rather win the game in preseason?
Work on things. See what you have. That's why you play so many young players.
Yeah.
You also want to get your timing down. You want to play. I always prefer to play a quarter or a half.
Okay.
Because I got to get my breathing. I got to get my acclimation to hitting and things like that.
Yeah, that's good. Good to know.
Well,
I know. We used to like Parcells say we're gonna throw the ball long a couple times a game this time. So I used to like to hear that because I used to love to go deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you went deep on us and scored.
Yeah, I did that. I like showing them clips.
I'm surprised our producer never shows that clip.
He don't want to rub it in on you. He's a professional.
He's a professional.
Absolutely.
Oh man!
But he going to the Jets and the Giants game.
I know. Benefited by you,
man. We got.
Hey,
make sure he's happy. Make sure he's happy, huh?
Yeah. Make sure you remember. We got on I think it's the 23rd of September. We got to go to Jason's wedding. Oh, yeah. We have his golf tournament too, or not golf.
Granbury, Texas.
Granbury. So, but that's you know what?
Pecan Valley is Pecan Valley Golf Course.
Yes, Pecan Plantation.
Plantation.
Pecan Plantation. Yeah. So
okay.
So we're gonna play there the morning. We're gonna go real early and play, and then I'm gonna get a hotel out there, take a shower, and go to his wedding. But you know what time it is.
Hey, Johnny Perkins is from out there. I just go out there and do his.
Yeah, you told me that. You did the track out there too.
Yeah. Great place to be.
But it's that time, and Waddle's hurt. He hurt his some core muscle. So
I'm gonna have to call Waddle and see if he can get him see what he needs. I might get him something. I might need to get him some of this cream. Get him some cream.
Yeah, but this is always the best part of my week. Sitting on here in the J&B Talking Shop.
Absolutely.
Guys, have a great rest of the week. It's hump day.
Let's hump day, baby.
Got 2 more days.
Football tomorrow. Smell it in the air.
Hey, it's here. Hey, have a great week.
We'll see you.
See ya.